Alright, so let's get into our tier list for set 1 today. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a handful of days and I've just been kind of putting it off. So why don't we take a look at, not the leaderboard, we look at the Champions tab and we'll take a look here. We'll be able to reference here as we go. So we're just going to go through, look at all the cards from set 1 and we're going to put them on a tier list for constructed. And we'll see how they go. First off, we have the Flamey set. I think these are all S tier cards. They're all extremely powerful. Inferno is just a crazy mechanic. Especially like the cheaper the Inferno cards, the better. So actually, I'll even say like this. But realistically, Flamiguacan being a 5-mana 8/8 alone, like he might actually I think he is just kind of S tier. He's worse than Flamey because Flamey is like so efficient. These two are both so cheap and they remove things so efficiently. But yeah, these are all very powerful. S tier, I would say. Second, we would have Dreadfin, Necrofish, and Soul Swimmer. Pretty decent aggressive cards. The biggest issue with them all is these are very aggressive cards, but Dreadfin is the best of all of these to start off. Dreadfin is the best. But the issue that Dreadfin and Necrofish have is they get traded on by other cards on their mana cost or lower than them. So like Dreadfin will get stuffed by a Speedy really hard, the 3/5 rush. It'll come down, kill the Dreadfin, and live. Whereas Necrofish will get traded on by any 2-drop that has 4 power. So it's tough to play these. And then Soul Swimmer is so slow. It's a 5-drop. These aggressive decks aren't really interested in playing a ton of 5-drops. They're interested in getting the most damage out of their mana as efficiently as possible. So for them, it's much more efficient to play 2 low-cost Vortex cards than it is for them to play 1 expensive Vortex card. So I would say Dreadfin is like A tier, I would say. Maybe it's like high B tier. Dreadfin is pretty good. Like, I've played this card a handful of times. It's just not... It's, like, not great. I'm gonna say it's B tier. But, like, it's, like, on the cusp. It's, like, close to A tier. But I am gonna say it's B tier, I think. I don't know. I feel like the Soul Swimmer is, like, a tier down, though. So maybe it's like this. It might be like this for them. These cards are, like, almost really good. But I feel like they just barely fall short. Is kind of where I'm at. I think this is okay. This is reasonable. It might not be proper. It might not be 100% correct, but it's close. Alright, so Trebi, Treadier, and Treeguard. Trebi is a 2-mana 2/4. He sucks. He gets absolutely stuffed by other cards on his mana cost. The Ice Snowbeak stuffs him. Monkey stuffs him. Grumble stuffs it. It's like every single 2-drop in the game just makes Trebi terrible. So Trebi, I'm gonna say is D tier. I think Trebi's really bad. Treadier suffers from the same issue. Ocho stuffs it. Barry stuffs it. Galefin. Even for... Well, actually, no. I was gonna say the combustion cards mess it up, but actually it has guard, so it doesn't get hit by the combustion cards. But yeah, a lot of things will mess up the Treadier, I think. So I'll say Treadier is like also D tier. It could be C tier. I think you can make an argument that it's C tier, but it's pretty bad. So I'm just gonna say it's D tier. And then Treeguard is actually really good as far as this evolution line goes. For 1 extra mana compared to the Treadier, you're getting an extra +3/+3. So the Treeguard is a great deal. I would say Treeguard is A tier, and I would even say he's high A tier. I don't know if I think he's S tier, because I think the S tier is for like where I think you'd rather play an Angel than a Treeguard a lot of the time. I think Angels generally do what Treeguard is doing a little better. So Egalion. Egalion is an S tier card. 2-mana Whirlwind on a 2/2 body is very efficient. 2 mana to be able to remove their unit out of play or from play is an excellent deal. If you're playing this card and your opponent has a 5-drop in play, that's kind of slow to get started. Maybe it can't do something. It doesn't have an effect that does something as soon as it's played, and it gets Egalion. You generate yourself a mana advantage of 3, which is huge. There's no card in the game that can do things as swingily as the Egalion. But the thing is, and we'll get to them later, is Egalion has a lot of competition with a lot of other really good, Whirlwind cards. But the key thing about Egalion is it's the only 2-mana Whirlwind, which is what makes it very good. Griffeon is a 4-mana 3/5. I think Griffeon is significantly worse. I would say Griffeon is B tier. It's nice that it evolves out of Egalion, so you can kind of like generate some more of a mana advantage and a card advantage as well by like evolving and bouncing things back. But that's about where it ends. I mean, if you look at Griffeon and you compare it to the 3-mana Whirlwind cards, it's worse than a lot of them. The Mechwing, it's worse than, and because the Mechwing is a 3/6 for 3, so it's just significantly more efficient. So I would say Griffeon goes about here. Alright, we have Boo-Boo, Fanbu, and Phantom. Boo-Boo is a 1-mana 1/2 with Psybeam. Then we get 3-mana 3/3 with Psybeam, and a 5-mana 5/5 with Psybeam. These cards are really hard to evaluate. I've seen people play them. I can't say I've been particularly impressed with them. I think they're like C tier or D tier. I don't really know if they're like C or D. Psybeam is a really hard mechanic to evaluate. It's like super weird. It's not always good. Sometimes it's really good. Is this too loud? I think this is a fair volume. But yeah, it's an awkward mechanic. I would say it's somewhere between C and D. I'm gonna put them in under D here. I don't think they're that great. Fungu, Terrorcap, and Doomish. These cards suck. I have a special tier for cards like these, and it's called the trash tier, and we're gonna put those in here. You could argue that Doomish isn't trash because it actually has an ability, so like we can put it in D tier, I guess. But we're gonna have a lot of cards go into the trash tier. Set 1 has a lot of garbage. Set 1 also has a lot of very good cards though, so it's not for sure like the set isn't bad. The set has a lot of excellent cards. It's just got a lot of clunkers as well. All right, so Peba's going to go into the trash tier. No ability. We're going to see everything without an ability, for the most part, is probably going to be going into the trash tier. Unless it's like overstated, and I don't think there are any overstated cards in this set with no ability. So Stona, 3-mana 2/4 Earthquake, and then Raka, 5-mana 4/6 Earthquake. These are both quite good. I would say Stona is an A tier card. Maybe even S tier. I'll put him in S tier. I think he's very good. And then Raka, I'll put in A tier. Raka's got a little bit more competition. There are some better Earthquakes than him, I think. Like, for instance, you could play Stonefur, and Stonefur is just better than him. Glowbug and Angeloon are both going to be trash tier. No effect, they do nothing. You would never want to play these cards. And then Divinifly, sure, it's a 6-mana 8/8. I mean, like, that's pretty big for 6 mana, I guess, and it's got Bless, but it's still bad, so it's gonna go D tier. Crocky and Crocjaw. Crocky is a 2-mana 3/1, that's garbage. Crocjaw is a 2-mana copy of Dreadfin, so it's also garbage. So I'm going to say Crocky is trash, and I'm going to say Crocjaw is D tier. Ferrolet, 1-mana 1/1 with no effect. It evolves into 3-mana 3/3 with Whirlwind. 3-mana 3/3 with Whirlwind is good, but like when you compare it to all the other 3-mana Whirlwinds, this is probably like the worst one, so I'm going to say it's C tier. And this one goes into trash. Mudra and Mudrex. Mudrex, you're paying 2 mana for a 2/1 with Provoke, which is not a good deal. For instance, you can play Norty over here and pay 1 mana for a 3/1 Provoke. And I'm not even convinced this is a good card. So if this card isn't good, Mudrex is not a good card at all. And then Mudraxis is just also like not very good. So I'm gonna say Mudra goes into trash and Mudraxis goes into D tier. At least Madraxis, you're getting a 4/4 for 4, which still sucks. But, like, at least you're getting something. Frosthog, 2 mana, 2/1 rush. Just a bad deal. We're going to say this is trash. And then we have Isoquine, who is a 4 mana 5/3 with Blizzard. And, like, sure, Blizzard is a good mechanic, but I don't think you really want it on a 5/3. I think this one goes to D tier as well. Pyrobot and Infernobot. Pyrobot's trash. It falls to the same category as Frosthog. Sure, you get 1 extra health. That 1 extra health realistically doesn't matter in 90% of games that you're going to play. So this card's going to go into trash. And then Infernobot, I mean, it's a 6 mana 7/7 Inferno. I mean, that's pretty good. I'll give it C tier. Could even be B tier, but I don't think so. There's so many better Inferno cards in this set that, like, you have to be really struggling if you're playing this card. Like, this card is just not the play, Infernobot. Like, you can play any of these 3, and you can play anything in this evolution line that we'll see later, like these 2, or you could be playing Ignatius. So it's just like, why would you ever want to be playing the Infernobot? It's just worse than a lot of these other cards. Sabertor and Saberbane, they're both awful. They're both understated with no ability. There's no reason you'd ever play these 2 cards, so they go in trash tier. Krababa is a nice one. I do like Krababa. 3 mana, 4/5 with Vortex, actually statted fairly well. I would say Krababa is like B tier, potentially even A tier, but I'm gonna say B tier. I think Krababa is one of the better Vortex cards in the game, though. And then Claw King is just... he's significantly worse than Krababa. You know, I think I'm going to put Krababa in A tier. Is Krababa better than... hold up. That's actually an interesting question. Is Krababa better? 3 mana 4/5. Is that better than 4 mana 6/4? I think it is. I think it is a lot. It comes down a turn sooner. It's a 1 mana cheaper, so it's easier to play in tandem with other Vortex cards or just other aggressive cards on the same turn. And it's just significantly faster, and that 1 extra health means it's much more likely to survive. It's not going to be dying to all these 4 mana 2-drops in the game. So I think Krababa is 1 tier higher than the Dreadfin. I think that's reasonable. Alright, so we got Monkey, Uga, and Uga Chief. Dude, Uga Chief might just be S tier as well. Triple S tier as well. And actually, I'm going to put Flamey in triple S tier as well, I think. I think Flamey does belong in triple S tier. And probably Egalion as well. I don't want to make triple S tier too big, though. But I think these cards all belong here. The only reason I didn't put Flamey in triple S tier here, so we'll do like this. Dude, I think the Uga Chief actually just is triple S. The Uga Chief is so good. I'm gonna put it at the top of S though. These cards are just fast. They're hyper efficient for their mana cost. 4/4 rush for 2, excellent. 6/6 rush for 4 is excellent. 8/8 rush for 6 is also excellent. These cards are just incredible. They are very likely to stick for 1 turn and be able to evolve into the next step on the chain as well. It's very common your Ugas are going to evolve into Uga Chiefs, your Monkeys are going to evolve into Ugas. So there's a lot of value there. And then on top of it, once you're playing 2 copies of each one, Uga Chief, and the Monkey, so you're putting 36 points of reach in your deck. Just playing this set of 3 cards at 2 copies each, you have 36 damage from hand at all points of the game that you can draw into throughout the game. So this, along with like 1 or 2 other rush units, means, or like vortexes or anything, means you can steal games out of nowhere. Like, you don't even have to... Once you get a good amount of damage, if you get an early lead and you get to push a couple points of damage, you can transition into this like full beatdown game plan, because you just have all these monkeys you get to consistently draw into and find more damage. So I would say these are all excellent. Probably the best cards in set 1. Quite possibly the best cards in set 1. Um, Dragby, 2 mana 2/2 with no ability, evolves into Dragbat, 4 mana 4/4 with no ability, and then it evolves into Dragcolt, 5 mana 6/7 with Whirlwind. The Dragcolt is actually like halfway decent, but the first two are terrible, and then Dragcolt suffers from. So Dragcolt is basically Mechadrone, right? These two cards are basically the same unit, but they have one major difference in that Dragbat, which evolves into Dragcolt, sucks, whereas Mechadrone evolves from Mechafly, and Mechafly is amazing. So because Mechafly is amazing, Mechadrone is even more amazing. It's just an incredible card. So I think these two we're going to put in trash, the bottom tier ones. And then this guy, like, I guess we can put in C tier. He's decent. But, like, he's not very good. Solar Moo is going to be a 4 mana 4/6 with Bless. Evolves into Glory Bowl, 7/9 with Bless. Glory Bowl does die to Hydroblast, but set 1 doesn't have a ton of Hydroblast cards in it, so it's not as much of a worry. When we play these set 1 and 2 formats, you don't see Hydroblast nearly as much as you do in just raw set 2. But Glory Bowl is just so expensive. I don't think Glory Bowl is very good. The Solar Moo is like decent, but it's still not like that great. I would say we go like this maybe. If you get to evolve your Solar Moo into Glory Bowl, like, it's kind of nice, but, like, I can't imagine that happens very often. But, like, dude, nah, it can't be. It's gotta be like this. Yeah, I don't think I can put them that high up. I think Solar Moo is C tier, and Glory Bowl is probably D tier. I feel weird putting Glory Bowl in the same spot as all these other cards, but really Glory Bowl is pretty bad. You're never gonna get to play this thing, and it's, like, not even doing anything very relevant. I just kind of like the art, I guess. Tentacutie, Krakapus, and Klakaroth. So this is a nice aggressive line. But the problem is like, would you rather play a Tentacutie or would you rather play a monkey? Would you rather play a Krakapus or would you rather play an Uga? Would you rather play a Krakalith or would you rather play an Uga Chief? And once you start thinking about it like that, it's like these cards become so much worse. So while I think they could be good, I think like you could argue that the Tentacutie is B tier, and then like this would be C tier, and then this would be D tier. I mean, these cards are great if you can like have a water egg and evolve them into the water egg. Then you start getting like some decent value out of it, but it's really weird playing eggs in an aggressive deck. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's not super consistent having eggs in an aggressive deck. A deck that's looking to top deck damage every single turn is never looking to draw an egg in the late game. So it's like, they're really punished for trying to play into the egg type of gameplay if you're trying to play Hyper Beatdown. So like, realistically, Hyper Beatdown would never be interested in this Krakaloth. It's just like so hard to play. Turdy and Turdworm, we're going to put them in the trash tier. I think that's pretty reasonable. Leafy and Elleaf, they're pretty alright. I saw somebody playing, I think Rain was playing them in yesterday's tournament, and he did quite well with them. So let's say that Leafy is like B tier, and maybe this is like C tier. A 1 mana 1/6 or like 1 mana Life Bloom is like, that's good. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's the reality. Is like 1 mana 1/6 is actually pretty good. 1 mana 1/2. The body isn't great, but it can like pop an Aegis. It can eat an Inferno. It can protect another unit. For 1 mana, it is actually very flexible. Ice Cube and Solid Ice, 2/2 provoke, 4/4 provoke, both pretty terrible. They go in the trash tier. The only good factor about these two cards is you get Ice Cube off of Shatter cards, and Shatter is actually pretty good. Bugtra, Bugatron, and Bugtanium, all trash. These all go in the trash tier. And once again, I just want to point out there's a lot of bad cards in set 1, but there's also like some decent stuff. Norty and Trouble. Trouble is a 4 mana 6/3 with provoke. it's got so little health. It's really bad. I'm gonna put Trouble in D tier. Norty, I will put into B tier. I think. I think you could argue Norty is B tier. It might be C tier. Let's say it's C tier. I think these cards are better than the Norty is. I feel like the only thing about Norty is like it actually is like one of the few halfway decent one drops in the game, but it's not a good one drop, right? It's just a decent one is the thing. So the fact that it's like one of the only decent one drops to me, I feel like should bring it up a little bit, just because you're limited on your options, but it's not a good option if that makes sense. Cactobud, Cactalord, and Cactosaurus. So in this set, we have Cactobud is quite bad. I would say Cactobud is C tier. No, I'll be fair. I'll put it in D tier as well, because we put the Trebby there. Alright, Cactobud is worse than Trebby. Oh, it's about the same as Trebby. But you know what? I'll put Cactobud in C tier, because Cactobud evolves into Cactosaur. And Cactosaur is actually like A tier, if not S tier. It's a really good card. I think I'm willing to put it in S tier. It's overstated for its cost. 3 mana, 5/5 with Provoke is actually quite good. And then the Cactosaurus is a 6 mana, 7/7, I think, right? Yeah, with Provoke. Like, it's okay. I think that's C tier as well. Could be like this. I think Cactobud is really bad, because Cactobud dies to Monkey. So I think it would be like this. I think you can argue Cactosaurus is C tier, but it's not very good. Troll Rock and Trolley. Trolley is a triple S tier card for sure. This is triple S tier as well. Trolley evolves from Troll Rock evolves from Trolley, which is quite good, and it's just a 5 mana 5/5. I would say it's high A tier, if not S tier. It does have a little bit of competition with some of the other Earthquake cards, so I don't think it's as good. But I do really like that it evolves from Trolley. I've evolved this card a handful of times out of Trolley, and that's pretty nice for your Earthquake card, I think. Glaciabeak and Glaciador. Oh, hold up. This should have... I thought I had this set to loop. I'm also going to lower it a little bit, just in case it is a little too loud. Okay, we're getting back to this. So Glaciabeak. 1 mana, 2/2, no ability, evolves into Glaciador. 4 mana, 4/5 with Blizzard. 4 mana, 4/5 with Blizzard is pretty good. The Glaciabeak goes into trash. But, 4 mana, 4/5 with Blizzard just gets so outclassed by the Ice Eagle that I think it's just not worthwhile playing. So I would say it's C tier. I don't think you ever want to play it. Robofly, the People's Champion. I accidentally put this card in my deck once thinking it had Whirlwind. I learned very quickly it does not have Whirlwind, and I was very disappointed. But yeah, Robofly is going to go in the trash tier. Mechadrone and Mechafly, however, I would say Mechafly is triple S tier. These are both triple S tier. And Mechadrone, I would say, is either S tier or triple S tier. What's so brutal about the Mechadrone is very often the Mechafly is hard to kill. So the Mechafly will come down and buy the Mechafly player a lot of tempo, and they'll be able to evolve it into Mechadrone very easily. And that sets you so far behind, because now they have a Mechadrone that probably attacked, or a Mechafly that probably attacked. It evolved into a Mechadrone. They get to bounce 2 of your things back for the total cost of 4 mana. They get to send 2 of your units back and draw a card. So it's just the play pattern of playing Mechafly into Mechadrone is like so disgusting to play against if you're on the receiving end of it. It's so hard to deal with, especially like when you look at the cards that exist in the 5 mana. Dude, these go S tier. I think these go S tier. When you look at what can kill Mechadrone, what in the game? That's the thing that I've been trying to figure out, and I've been thinking about it the past couple days, and I really don't know an answer. What card in this game can profitably kill a Mechadrone on the turn you play it? at the same mana cost. What does 7 damage for 5 mana or less? And the only answer I can think of is a High Roll Inferno. Otherwise, what's going to do it? A High Roll Inferno can remove it, but if you don't get a High Roll Inferno, Ocho will die. Rajorcer will trade, sure, but that's not a good deal because you spent your 5-drop to kill their 5-drop, but their 5-drop already put a card back from your board into your hand, so you're behind there. I can't think of a single card in this game that can reliably answer Mechadrone and leave you and generate you a small advantage. I can't think of anything. There might be something like you can like Life Bloom Hydroblast it, I guess. Like that's okay, I guess. But like yeah, dude, it's brutal. I really don't think I think this is one of the best cards in the game. It's so. But it's like so weird because like while I think this is one of the best cards in the game, you could say that Zephyrian is better because it's got better stats. But like the thing is Zephyrian doesn't evolve out of Mechafly. It's really weird. Like there's actually you can make the argument that Mechadrone is better than Zephyrian, especially because Zephyrian will die to Hydroblast by itself, and Mechadrone won't. So this card is just it's really oppressive, I feel like. Bunatron and Rabbitron. 3 mana, 3/4 with guard, 5 mana, 5/8 with guard. These guys suck. Like I guess the Rabbitron doesn't have anything that can like profitably kill it on 5 mana. It'll like be a little sticky, but it still sucks. I'm gonna say these are like Rabbitron can go in C tier. Bunny, this thing can go in like mid D tier, I guess. It still sucks, dude. It's not a good card. Don't play that card. Sugma and Sugmagoo both have no effect. We know where they go. They go right here in the trash tier. Then we got Cozy Cub, Wakey Bear, and Fury Bear. Cozy Cub, 1 mana, 0/4 with no ability. Yeah, this card is not very good. It's going to die at a lot of the 2-drops for free. You can evolve it into Wakey Bear. I guess the idea with these cards is like you want to evolve them up the chain, but like Cozy Cub is just gonna die to Monkey, and generate you absolutely nothing. Wakey Bear is gonna die to Uga, and then Fury Bear. You know what? Fury Bear gets a pass. This card's actually halfway decent. So, we'll say Cozy Cub and Wakey Bear are trash. We'll say we'll say these are trash. And then this guy, he can chill in D tier. Maybe you can make an argument that he's C tier. But I wouldn't. I would say he's D tier. He's just a big Cryo Slice. I would rather just play Cryo Slice because Cryo Slice won't die to Hydroblast, and this guy will die to Hydroblast. Is the issue with Fury Bear. He's just not very good. Limpy, Sad Bones, and Fossil Boner. Absolute trash for all 3 of these. Funny cards, funny art, trash gameplay. They do absolutely nothing. You're always sad to see these come out of an egg. It was named Sad Bones for a reason. I will tell you that. You're sad every time you get this card. Mudra, 4 mana, 4/4, no ability. One of the best no ability cards we've seen so far. Still terrible. So it's going to go in trash tier. And then it evolves into Mudrides, which is a 6 mana, 5/8 with Earthquake. And you know, that's actually pretty big. But there are just so many better Earthquakes in the game that I would put this in like D tier. Maybe you can say it's C tier. But I don't think it's very good. And what we're going to see as we keep doing this is like Set 1 has a lot of garbage, but it's got a lot of really good stuff in it too. A lot of garbage, a lot of high power cards as well. Alright. Flamer and Flamerdees. Flamer is 4 mana, 4/4, same as Mudra. So we're going to put Flamer right next to Mudra. And Flamerdees, instead of having Earthquake, it's got Inferno. It's got the flipped stat line, so the Earthquake one has more health, which isn't good for the Inferno card because this thing has almost a 50% chance to kill itself. So there are just so many better Inferno cards that I would put this in D tier. Enchi, Enpaw, and Enchakra. Enchi is very good. Enchi, I would say, is an S tier card. Enpaw, I would say, is an A tier card. And I would say Enchakra is like probably B tier. I think Enchakra is the hardest to play, but if you can get the evolution line all the way up, like, just because I'm putting this in B tier does not mean it's bad. If you have a deck that's like built around Enchi, Enpaw, and you can evolve to Enchakra pretty consistently, this card easily goes up to A tier. Easily. But I am going to put it in B tier here for now, just to kind of have this degrading curve here for these cards. I think that makes sense. Roglet, Rogolt, and Rajorcer. Roglet is very bad as far as 2-drops go, but it evolves into Rogolt, and Rogolt evolves into Rajorcer. Rajorcer is excellent. I would say Rajorcer is one of the best aggressive cards in the game. I would put it in S tier. You could even make an argument that it's triple S tier. I'm not going to make that argument, but I can easily see that argument, because for 1 less mana, it's doing the same amount of damage that Uga Chief does. But Uga Chief evolves from Uga, which is so much better than evolving from Rogolt. Rogolt and Roglet are just, as much as I love the art on Roglet, these cards aren't good. They're just so weak compared to some of the other cards you can get at this mana cost. You would always take Uga over this. You would always take Speedy over this. You would always take the Ice Bird, the Snowbeak over this. And then the same is true for Rogolt. You would always just take Barry, you take Ocho, you take Uga, you take the Glidefin. So just these cards are Galefin, I think it's called. So these two cards are beaten out by other cards in their mana cost. But Rajorcer is better than a lot of the other rush units in its mana cost. Like if you compare it to Fox Assassin, it's strictly better. It's got 1 extra health. So I would say Rajorcer goes into S tier. Rogolt I would put into like D tier. And this card I would put into like C tier. So the next one that we have is going to be... Have fun at work. Bye. The next one we're going to have is going to be Scorpio and Scorpitron. These both 4 mana 4/4, 2 mana 2/2, no ability. We already know where these go. They go in the trash tier. Thorner, 1 mana 2/2. You actually get a decent deal for this one as far as no ability cards go. And then it evolves into 4 mana 5/3. But just like all the other cards, even though you get a halfway decent deal with this one, it's still trash. It's better than some of the other trash, but it's still trash. Fenny is going to be a worse Rogolt. So where did we put Rogolt? We put Rogolt in C tier. So that means Fenny would go into D tier. I think this one, the Fox Assassin, is actually pretty decent. It goes into C tier. And then I would put the Sandstalker in A tier. I would put it in high A tier. Potentially even S tier. It does 1 more damage than the Rajorcer does, but it costs 1 more mana as well. But it is bigger. And if you have a deck that's like got Fox Assassins and Sandstalkers and Rajorcers, and you're able to like get 1 evolution on one of these, you're big winning. Like you get so much pressure by getting 1 evolution. And I think like Fox Assassin and Sandstalker, they have like a decent evolution line, where I feel like Rogolt into Rajorcer is not as decent of an evolution line. Lumi, Lumino, and Luminex. Lumi I would say is A tier. Maybe near the top of A tier. Lumino is probably B tier. And then Luminex I would say is C tier. I think each one goes down a tier. They're very efficient cards. 4 mana 6/6 with Bless. I mean, this thing is a 2 mana 7/4. This is huge. And the buff that it gives to other things, you can like give the buff to other things as well. So it's very flexible as well. Lumi actually might be S tier. You could make... there's a very real argument that Lumi is S tier. But for now, I'm going to put it in A tier. I think it still gets traded up. It gets like... you know what? Let's say it's S tier. I might be wrong about this, but I'm willing to say it's S tier here. And we'll put this here, and we'll put this here. So we'll bump each one up by 1 tier, I think, is fair. But, no, Fox Assassin is better, I think. Maybe it's like this. Yeah, I'll move a couple cards around. I think this might be a little bit more fair. And you know, let me actually just move this over. Let me move my camera over just a little bit. That way we can see the full tier list, or you guys can see the full tier list as I do this. But yeah, I think Fox Assassin probably is B tier. I think probably unfair to call it C tier. Alright, so we did Lumi, Lumino, and Luminex. We have Artipaw, Artifang, and Artiking. These cards are all bad. They're overcosted versions of other cards. This is 1 mana more than Snowbeak. This is 1 mana more than Barry. This is 1 mana more than Cryo Slice. But at least it's like giving you an 8/8, but it still dies to Hydro Blast. So I'm going to say these two are bottom of D tier. I won't put them in the trash tier, though I probably should. I'll be a little nice to them, but they probably should just go in the trash tier. And then this card will also put like in D tier. Maybe you could argue that it's like C tier or something. But it goes right next to this guy. It goes right next to the Fury Bear. Basically the same card. Oculi, 2 mana, 3/1 with no effect. Evolved to Dreadgaze, 3 mana, 5/2 with Psybeam. I would say Oculi is going to go into the trash tier, and this guy can go into D tier. These Psybeam cards are just so awkward, so inconsistent. They're really not very good all the time. There are some spots where they can be very good, but I think those spots are not super common. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just kind of my hunch. Lycanite and Moonfang, 2/2 with no ability, 4/5 with no ability. We already know where they go. We've been over this a handful of times already. We have Thunderkang, 5 mana, 6/6 with Rush. I will put that in D tier. That is better than some of the other cards that we have. Like, it's definitely not worth being in trash tier because this card's actually playable, but it is significantly worse than anything like Uga or Barry or like any of those. It's just an entire mana more expensive for the same card. So it's not very good. It's just outclassed by so many other cards. Like, maybe you could argue that, like, oh, well, if Uga is S tier or triple S tier, maybe Thunderkang should be like B tier or C tier, but I'm not going to make that argument. To me, the card is just so outclassed by other cards, you would never want to play it. Therefore, it's not good. Kitnix, 1 mana, 1/2, no ability. Evolves into Catnix, 2 mana, 2/3, no ability. We already know. Maybe we shouldn't even be talking about these no ability cards. They're maybe not even worth mentioning, but I just wanted this to be all encompassing. Fondra is going to be a 3 mana, 3/3 with Bless. Evolves into 5 mana, 5/5 with Bless. I mean, this is just so much worse than the Lumi. I don't see why you would ever play this. So I'll put these both into D tier. I don't think they're particularly good. Dury, 1 mana, 1/1 with no ability. Now, Dury is a very special case compared to a lot of these other cards that go into the trash tier. Dury actually goes to the top of triple S tier because he's smoking a joint. Dury really knows what's going on. I would never put this card in your deck, but if you happen to get one off of an egg, you're a very lucky person. I would recommend going to the store and buying a lottery ticket. Of course, not financial advice. I would not actually recommend doing that. But if you do happen to get Dury off of an egg, you know, maybe consider like thanking your creator or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty good outcome, I would say. Psyop. Let's see about Psyop. Psyop is a 5 mana, 8/4 with Psybeam. I actually think this is one of the better Psybeam cards just because it's got such a high base stat line. But it still needs to like flip 4 powers worth of stuff before it's like worth it, I feel like. So I would say like it's C tier. but I wouldn't say it's like much better. I think it's just like, I don't know. Pegasy and Pegasol. So this is Pegasy is a Munta that evolves into Pegasol. Pegasol is actually very good, especially if you get to evolve it out of a Pegasy. I think these two are one of the better rush units that you can get access to. I'll say Pegasy is like B tier. And Pegasol, I'll say, is like also B tier. But, you know, they might even be A tier. It just feels weird putting Foxassassin underneath these two. So maybe Foxassassin is just also A tier. But I think Sandstalker is better than Foxassassin. But like better, maybe on the same tier it's better. Joyfei and Joybell, no abilities. We know where they go. That's going to be the same for these piggy banks. They're terrible. Let's just put these in the right spot. Yeah, these piggy banks go here. Alright, now we've got Lion and Imperius. Now, these cards are not cards that you would ever want to play, because they're outclassed by other cards. But I will say, compared to all of the non-ability cards in the game, these are probably the best ones. You know, 3 mana for a 3/5 is not great, but it's like fine. And Imperius, 6 mana for a 7/9 is actually like quite big. But you'd never want to play them though. I'll put them in D tier. I think they like just barely managed to scrape their way out of the trash can, but they're still not good. Imperius is the kind of card though that I've seen this card come off of a lot of eggs, and this is a great card to have come off an egg, I'll tell you what. Pandorable, 1 mana 1/2. So he is like the Leafy. However, the big difference between Leafy and Pandorable is Pandorable evolves into Panthu. And Panthu is actually a very good evolution. You have very good odds of evolving Pandorable into Panthu. I will put these both in A tier. I think they're quite good. Especially like in these mono type formats or these dual type formats. They get the job done very often. Vuda and Vudala, I mean, we already know where they go. Straight in the trash can. Guais and Guaqueen. As much as I love the art on these cards, they are not good cards. They are so much worse than the Guance and the Guaking. They're just not very good. Like, Guais is just 1 more mana more expensive than the Lumi. And the Guaqueen is like 6 mana for an 8/8. When do you have time to play 6 mana for an 8/8 vanilla? I would say these are just like C tier maybe. No, these aren't as good. These are D tier cards. Yeah, these are probably D tier cards. There's so much trash in set 1 in set 1. So many unplayable cards. Grima and Grimblade. Grima has the same problem so many of these other cards have, where it just gets traded on. I would say Grima is D tier. It's not complete trash, but it's not very good. Grimblade is like almost good, but like Grimblade is just worse than Tree Guard. So like it's the same card, just worse stats. So I guess we could say like this is B tier. B tier is looking pretty lonely, I guess. So we can put this in B tier. Plague Scale, 6 mana, 6/6, no effect. Great to get off an egg, otherwise you never want to see it. Magmantis, 6 mana for an 8/8 Inferno. I think we can put this in B tier. Like we said, B tier looks a little lonely, and like this card's like actually decent. It is better than the Inferno bot by 1. It gets +1/+1 as well, so it's like halfway decent. Pyramind, 6 mana, 7/9 with Psybeam. This card's actually huge. I actually didn't even realize how big this card is. But I still don't think it's that great. it's like... I think this card goes into B tier, though. It is very big. This one actually might be the best Psybeam card, just because it's like super overstated. You pay 1 more mana, and you get 1 less power, but 5 more health for Psyop. But I mean, it dies to Hydroblast, so it's like, it is what it is. The Glimmertard goes into S tier. It might be worth going... Glimmertard might get to go right behind Dury. I think you can make that argument. Dury's still better, but, you know, the Glimmertards are rare. It's kind of special. The eggs, I would say, are all S tier. And as we continue to get more and more cards, it's very possible the eggs just get better and better. I don't remember where I put the eggs in our last tier list. I think we gave them like their own spot, and maybe we should do the same for them here. But I'll say Grun is like 1 tier above the others, just because like at the moment Grun has the best things to evolve into. It can evolve into Ooga Chief, it can evolve into Tree Guard, whereas like the Water Egg isn't quite as good because it's in the aggressive color, so it's a little harder to get use out of the egg, I feel like. And I think Punk is really awkward as well. But I mean, these eggs are all great. I would put them all in the same power level realistically. I'm just getting a little fancy here just because at today's current moment, the green egg is better than these other two. But as this game continues to progress and as we get more and more cards, I think these eggs are just going to get better and better as time goes on. And maybe that won't hold true forever. It may become possible that like removing the eggs just gets easier and easier, and they don't get to do their job as often. But in my opinion, I think these cards are always going to have a place in some kind of metagame. Maybe not all the metagames, but some metagames, these eggs are going to be some of the best things you can be doing. Going turn 1 egg and getting to evolve it on turn 2 can like automatically win a game in some situations. So Hydrofang, Serpentide, and Abyssalisk. Hydrofang, I would say, is either A tier or triple S tier. I think this is the best Vortex card in the game. The issue is that the Vortex cards aren't... There is no, like, good aggressive deck yet. But Hydrofang is a premium card, in that aggressive deck that just doesn't quite exist right now. Hydrofang is one of the best cards in that deck. I'm gonna move Glimmertard and Dury down to trash. I think they got to sit here long enough and bask in the glory of S tier. Triple S tier. So yeah, Hydrofang is very good. Serpentide is also quite good. I would say Serpentide is like A tier. Abyssalisk is awful. Abyssalisk is just, you're never going to get to play this card. This is 9 mana to deal 4 damage. I would say Abyssalisk is D tier. I'm going to put it in C tier, purely because Abyssalisk can evolve from an egg. And it can also somehow evolve from a Serpentide. And if that happens, you're in a pretty good situation. But if you were able to evolve a Serpentide into an Abyssalisk, you were probably already winning the game anyway. I don't think you needed that evolution. And more than likely, the Abyssalisk was probably holding you back more than it was helping you. Alright, next cards. Scorchwing, Dracoferno, and Crematoris. Scorchwing is triple S tier. This card is absolutely the nuts. This might be the best card in S tier. Arguably. This card is a 2 mana 2-for-1, and it usually lives. Not always, but it is more likely to live than it is to die, right? I think it lives a few more percentage points than it would die, right? No, maybe that's not true. If it rolls a 1, 2, 3, or 4, it lives. And then if it rolls a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to die. So it's slightly under 50% to live. My apologies. But this card is like slightly under 50% to live. Like 40-something% that it's going to stick around. Be a 4-1 or a 4-2 or a 4-3. Decent odds that it's going to stick around. And then decent odds that it just nukes 2 things off the board. And for 2 mana, like this card can just like remove a 5-drop like it's nobody's business. And it's like, it's a huge deal. Dracoferno is going to be... Where did we put... Dracoferno is better than Magmantis, right? At the end of the video, please move the camera and show the whole tier list. Are you not able to see the whole tier list right now? I feel like it is set up that you can see it. My camera is already in the corner. I'll even shrink my camera a little bit. That should be good. Let me know if that's an issue or if that works. But yeah, so Crematoris, or no, not Crematoris, Dracoferno, I think goes over Magmantis. Yeah, I think it goes into A tier. I think the Flamiguakin and the Flammari are better than the Dracoferno. But this is still one of the best Inferno cards in the game. So I would say this is A tier. And it's probably above Serpentide, but maybe not. Crematoris, I'm going to say is D tier. Crematoris sucks. There is still a 1 in 9 chance that this card is just going to bop itself. So, like, just over 10% of the time, this card is just going to die. And it's not like it's any better at doing its job than Scorchwing is. It costs 7 more mana, and will still have a chance to die like Scorchwing does. So it's just, as far as the Inferno cards go, this is one of the worst ones. It's just far too expensive to be worth playing. I'm going to put it in D tier. Now we're up to the Angels. Now, obviously, the Angels are like... I feel like the Angels play by different rules compared to all the other cards in the format. Just because they're massively statted. They do all die to Hydroblast, which is something you need to be careful about. And they all also get Whirlwinded just as easily. So we'll rank these all as far as we see where they would go. But just keep in mind that, like, while I might be somewhat harsh on some of these cards, they're still all Angels. And the sheer fact that they're all Angels, they should probably just all be S tier. And that might actually just be what happens here, is you just put them all in, like, S and A tier. So Crystalia is going to be the Ice Angel. Crystalia is very good. I think Crystalia would go into S tier. It can freeze something down. It's got a massive stat line. And it gets the... Like, these are just so awkward to rate. Because, like, all the Angels are good. But some of them are better than the others. It's just hard to know which is better than which. But being able to freeze something and make a 5-mana 9/9 is massive. In these, like, big mid-rangey battles. Being able to freeze something, kill it off while developing this huge body is pretty huge. Floriana, I think, is worse than the Crystalia. I think Floriana is a little weaker than Crystalia. The nice thing about Floriana is it can go Life Bloom itself and go up to 13 HP, and then it's like one of the only Angels that can trade positively with some of the other Angels, but it's slow to set up. So I think it's probably on the weaker end of the Angels. Zephyrion, I think, is the strongest of all the Angels, or one of the strongest of all the Angels at the very least. This thing will come down, generate a 9/9 while removing the strongest thing from your opponent's board. Huge deal. Right next to this card right here, but I'll just put it over here. Dustrial, 5-mana 9/9 Earthquake. I mean, Earthquake cards are already great. We have Troll Rock in A tier, so you're literally getting +4/+4 on Troll Rock. I would say this is like S tier, triple S tier. When Earthquake is good, if you're Earthquaking their board and developing a 9/9, they're like pooping their pants. That's like pretty scary. It's going to win the game pretty quickly. Aquavia, 5-mana 9/9 Vortex. Probably the weakest of all of the Angels. I'll put it in A tier. It is just... All the other Angels feel like they're cheating, and this one is like doing something fair. I kind of feel the same way about Floriana, where like it's like all the other Angels like cheat somehow, and this one is just fair. Ignatius, probably one of the best Angels as well. We'll put this one in triple S tier. He'll come down, he'll probably kill 2 things, and he'll probably live himself. Or he'll probably kill 1 thing and live himself. He's pretty good. He gets the job done a lot. I think he's probably one of the strongest Angels. Probably stronger than Dustrial. I don't know if he's stronger than Zephyrion. I think they're like pretty close to each other. And then we have Sin and Purity. And the nice thing about Sin and Purity is, while their abilities are much weaker than all the others, they are 1 mana cheaper than all the others as well. So they can really get going. They can take over a game much sooner. And Sin can, like, when you look at Floriana, where Floriana can become like a 9/13 for 5 mana, Sin can become like a 9/15 in like some situations. Like, it's rare, but like he can easily get like an extra 2-3 health. Sometimes like 4 health, 5 health. There are some situations where you can gain like a ridiculous amount of health as well. Like, say your opponent has they played a Fortify unit for whatever reason, and you like flip it with Psybeam, and you gain like infinite stats with the Sin. This card is just very good. I would say Sin is triple S tier, and I would also say Purity is like, maybe Purity is just S tier, but like 4 mana 9/9 is just so efficient that I think that alone is just triple S tier as well. And like, I feel wrong putting these. I'll just put these in S tier because they're still angels. They don't really deserve to be much lower. Like, there's no way this card is in the same tier as like Pegasol or like this. I don't know. I think these cards are better. So I think this is going to be our tier list. This will be our tier list, and let's zoom in on the whole thing. I will post a picture as well of this tier list at some point. Let's see, how much can we zoom in? We can zoom in this much, and let me... Here, I'll get rid of my camera, and let's get the tier list taking up the whole screen. Oh, we'll keep the track. We'll just actually just... I think we're good just looking at triple S, S, A, and B. I think everything else is pretty irrelevant. So this will be our completed tier list for set 1. I think these are some of the strongest cards in set 1. Your Scorchwings, the Ugas, the Monkeys, the Uga Chiefs, all excellent. These cheap Earthquake cards, these cheap Inferno cards, these cheap and efficient Whirlwind cards, all excellent. Hydrofang, a little bit of an outlier. I think it's just really overstated for a Vortex card. I don't think there are many other good Vortex cards, and this one is just so far and away better than the others. I wonder if Uga Chief should be triple S as well. I kind of want to just put this whole line in triple S tier. I think it's fair. Yeah, I think this is a pretty reasonable tier list. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I overestimated on certain cards or underestimated on certain cards. I definitely am not saying that this is like the authority on the situation. I don't think everything here is in the proper position 100%, but I think this is a pretty good baseline. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, all that jazz. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Lick the like.